The U.S. is escalating with Venezuela. The U.S. on the 10th of December, today, the 10th of December, Wednesday, the U.S. decided to use their forces to seize a Venezuelan oil tanker on the sea. The U.S. sent their troops, and Donald Trump personally ordered this seizure of the Venezuelan oil tanker. And it's a long list of escalations that have started with, the killing of fishermen in South America and Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuelan, Colombians. The U.S. has been killing civilians for several months. Well, months. And it's a long list of escalations. What's even more surprising is the lack of pushback from the media establishment that has criticized, even going so far as to justify Donald Trump's killings and seizure and basically piracy, that the U.S. is a pirate that can take whatever they want. If they don't like you, they can just take whatever they want. Might makes right. And this is a clip from CNN that talks about their opinion on Donald Trump seizing the oil tanker.
Could this escalate the conflict with Venezuela?
Well, we've had sanctions on Venezuelan oil since the first Trump administration.
And Biden kept them.
Kept them.
Yeah.
So to me, this is absolutely normal. I mean,
seizing an oil tanker?
Yeah. We've been seizing Iranian oil tankers in the past. We also, according to the law that I've read, that oil is up for forfeiture. So we could keep that. We've kept Iranian oil in the past.
You heard it right there from the news. If the U.S. decides to just take a country's natural resources, because the U.S. doesn't like them, they're up for grabs. They forfeited it. This is, of course, absurd. The U.S. does not have a monopoly on taking people's and other countries' resources. It's very imperialist and colonialist of the United States to say that any province in the world, the U.S. can just take their resources if they feel like it. And of course, this is very problematic that the news is reporting on a matter such as a country like the United States, after bullying and killing civilians on boats, even going so far as to threaten the families of people in Venezuela, that the media is not pushing back very hard on. The main reason the U.S. believes that they can take the natural resources of a foreign nation is that they have U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, on Iran, on North Korea, on any of the U.S.'s allies or enemies, adversaries. The U.S. has sanctions on them. What CNN is not explaining is that the unilateral effect of U.S. sanctions on Venezuela has resulted in severe economic crisis. Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves, and I think that goes without saying that that's very important to why the U.S. is putting so much pressure on Venezuela. According to Just International, U.S. illegal unilateral coercive measures are just as lethal as missiles. Burrow published an article on the effect of the 2017-2018 maximum pressure sanctions that were implemented by Donald Trump, finding that in excess of 40,000 deaths were caused by U.S. sanctions. Additionally, in 2020, the UN Special Rapporteur Alfred de Zayas estimated a total death toll of over 100,000 from U.S. sanctions. So what the U.S. is doing is that they're pressuring a foreign government by killing its citizens, hurting the ability for the country to operate in normal capacity, preventing people from living in prosperity, to bring about the overthrow of the government, to claim its natural resources, namely its large oil reserves. The U.S. is going so far as to threaten Venezuelan government officials. A federal agent that the U.S. had tasked to harass Maduro, basically. So because the U.S. was trying to pressure this pilot to send Maduro to the U.S., fly him over to the U.S. The U.S. tried to bribe the agent with the $50 million reward that was put on Maduro's head, saying that still time is left to be Venezuela's hero and on the right side of history. As of now, the Venezuelan pilot has basically disregarded the federal agent that the U.S. sent to bribe him. They said, no, I'm not gonna fly Maduro to the United States. He says, we Venezuelans are cut from a different cloth. The last thing we are is traitors. Without fail, the U.S. agent decided to send him a picture of them talking to one another, as kind of like an intimidation tactic that, like, we could send this to somebody. And then later, the Lopez tries to threaten the children of this Venezuelan official. He names them by name, and the window for a decision is closing. Kind of like an intimidation tactic. U.S. agent Lopez decided to mention the 3 children. For some reason, he decided to mention their names for whatever reason, and he said, soon the window for a decision is closing. And then the Venezuelan pilot blocked his number. Soon it will be too late. This definitely shows a very sharp contrast with a democratic country seemingly threatening the people it doesn't like. Donald Trump claims that Maduro is part of a cartel called the Carte de la Sos, the Sun Cartel. Cartel does not exist. This cartel is entirely made up by the U.S. It's not an actual cartel. It's meant to refer to government officials who do drug trafficking. It's not an actual cartel or anything like that. Maduro is not a head of a cartel. This is a bogus lie that the U.S. is using to justify its punitive measures on both the Venezuelan people, carry out imperialist policies in Venezuela. This was meant to be a very short video on the events that came out of the 10th of December, U.S. Forces seizing the Venezuelan oil tanker. Evidence placed on the U.S. as being a imperialist country that is carrying out acts of terror against the Venezuelan people for seemingly no purpose other to enrich the oligarchy in the U.S. that wants Venezuela's oil reserves. Thank you very much.